Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 250 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we are part of the Going for Two Live podcast network. We are live here every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch on all major podcast networks, and also in the Going for Two app for iOS and Android. As always, if you're on Twitter, for some reason, Restream is still not letting us get Twitter comments. So if you want to interact with the show, please go find us on YouTube and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Let me introduce my co-host, as always, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Excited to talk some rookies in landing spots today.
Yes, sir. I feel like we got kind of a late start this year because we didn't do a show at all in January, so we're a little bit behind the curveball. I know you're doing your show over there, so you're deep in there right now. You're 40 rookies deep at least?
Yeah, I'm about 40 rookies deep for like actual scouting, and then whatever defense players I've started watching just for my own shits and gigs.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Also joining tonight for his first time, Jax Falcone, co-owner of the Undroppables and host of the Undrafted podcast. What's up, Jax?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you on the show. I think, Ryan, you did a show with him not that long ago, right? Is that where we kind of found him at? Yeah.
Yeah, the name of the episode was Sniffing Chubs.
Nice.
So it was a good show.
Good stuff. Yeah, Ryan.
Kenneth Walker sniffing chubs, you know.
Yeah, he said he could sniff his chub.
It relates. It relates. 2 B's in the chub, by the way.
So for those that don't know, Jax, give us a rundown of kind of what you do in the fantasy space.
Well, yeah, thank you. I think we started the Undroppables probably beginning of last season, and it's sort of just Chalk. Everybody knows 101 Chalk on Twitter. Chalk started, the Undroppables as sort of a platform for the unknown. A lot of people looking for a place to get started. A lot of people looking for that sort of that opportunity in the space, and that's what it was all about. And really just creating opportunity. So, personally, they asked me to join early on, and since then, obviously my pod has taken off, and I've gotten a little bit of a following, and I'm a Dynasty guy at heart. As soon as I found Dynasty, I fell in love. So that's kind of my niche, and we have a lot of fun with the pod. It's definitely a Dynasty show, but we do all sorts of stuff. And having Ryan on just recently was a really fun show. So that's kind of what we do. But we have everything, man. We got Devi and redraft and all sorts of cool stuff. So a lot of cool stuff coming from the Undroppables. Check us out at theundroppables.com.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you do this or not, but Chalk was actually going for 2 for a while.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he kind of got his start here, and then he kind of took that and went with the Undroppables, and he's been blowing up ever since. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I got my start with Alex over at Yards Per, and he was over at Going for Two, and I mean, neither one of us really thought we were going to do anything in the space, and when we started to just interact with some of the bigger accounts, they started to sort of interact with us and let us know that we had something to offer. And that's really what it comes from. J.J. Zacharyson, Evan Silva, people like that who sort of said, hey, I think you've got something to offer. And that sort of made me think maybe I do. And so really we just have fun with it. We're not trying to, break any records or do anything. We're just having fun with it. And that's really what I love about it. No bottom lines to worry about just yet.
Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Chalk's a good guy. I like Chalk. He was good for us. All right, let's get into the 5 101s.
And now, the 5 Five 101s.
All right, the way this works, I got 5 categories here, Jax. You're going to give me your 101 for each category. We'll kick off here with the easy one. What's your 101 adult beverage?
That's so tough, man. I was thinking about this today. You guys did send me a show sheet, so it's not off the cuff. But, you know, I was thinking it's always, like, so situational. You know, it's like if you're going out and playing pool with the boys, it's like, you know, between 5 and 20 Coors Light bottles is really what the answer is. But, you know, right? And so, but that's not necessarily my 101 of beverages. So I think I brought it today. It's the El Vino. I'm here on the central coast of California. So, I mean, if I had to just completely pick one and die with it, it would be some of my favorite wines that I love. So definitely wine, but I've got craft cocktails and
nice,
you know, bourbons and whiskeys and man, I love tequila and I love it all, man. So it's all good.
Good stuff. I think that's the first time we've had wine on the show, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I think you're the first person to ever drink wine on the show, and
Yep.
impressive. Thank you.
All right, what's your 101 hobby that doesn't include fantasy football?
Well, that's a tough one too. I would say it's probably poker. You know, I love playing poker. I love anything where there's some stakes. You know, I grew up playing sports, and yes, I love basketball. Obviously, I love football. And you know, as you get a little older, I'm almost 25 years old. So as you get a little older, you know, your body breaks down a little bit. You can't play basketball the way you used to, and so I think, you know, that's where fantasy football started to, you know, become a little bit even more, where I couldn't, you know, do as many things. I like playing golf, but I suck at it. So for me, it's like poker. I love that because I can make money while having some fun.
Good stuff. That's one thing I've never got into. Ryan, do you play poker at all?
No, dude. It's me or I play fantasy sports DFS because I hate losing money. I'm so cheap. I get like nauseous losing money, but I love betting on sports, so I'm lying. But right. I feel like I have no control that week, and I just lost every bet on the Super Bowl. It's cool.
Yeah, I had a bad Super Bowl as well. I needed Cooper Kupp to get me 8 more yards, and I would have won $1,000. Instead, I was in the hole at $150 because 8 yards, just 8 yards is all I needed him to get so he can get to that 100 plateau.
Yeah, dude, I was just dumb. I just made all huge parlays. I was like, oh, last game of the year. Let's go big.
Yeah.
I went home.
Yeah, instead you went home.
I went home.
All right, Jax, what's your 101 music genre?
Boy, oh boy. You know, I'm really, like I said, I'm really young. So for me, I just go with, you know, my dad's music, which was early 90s, you know, Pearl Jam, Nirvana. So I'd have to just say grunge rock, although I love, like, you know, I was watching the Instagram, and they had this little Instagram post, and it said, "Oh, look at my parents going crazy for the halftime show." These, you know, they're making fun of old people, and I was like, "Hey, wait a second." It was a little bit staggering that was. I think that was me they were talking about. So that was pretty cool too. Halftime show was dope.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you being almost 25. I don't think that's all before your time, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is, man. Those guys looked old too, didn't they?
Did they? Yes, they did.
Dre still got it though, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. I don't know why he doesn't still put stuff out. He needs to keep putting stuff out because it's always been good.
It's got to be the best rapping voice of all time. Like, his voice is just pure, man. It's just so good.
Agreed. What were you gonna say, Ryan?
I don't remember. No, I thought he was putting out something, but I don't remember. No.
I know he signed Kendrick Lamar and all that, but he hasn't done anything of his own since the last album that he had years ago.
I mean, Snoop put his album out like 5 days before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Snoop's been putting
like a champion.
Albums. Snoop even did a reggae album too that I actually purchased. It was actually not that bad. All right, 101 guilty pleasure, Jax.
Man, you should never feel guilty about having pleasure. That's the one thing I was thinking about with guilty pleasures. I've never even said like, oh, this is a guilty pleasure, but I don't know, what is it, like milkshakes? What's going on here? Is that what we're talking about here?
It could be like you watch Survivor or The Bachelor or something on TV, something that you would be embarrassed
okay.
to.
All right, I got it then. If it's in that one, it's what's the show? Selling Sunset or whatever it is, with all those broads that sell rich people houses, and they're just wild. I love that show. I don't understand why I like it, but I do. So there you go. That's my guilty pleasure.
How many episodes with this question on here do you think we have to go before somebody says cocaine and hookers?
I mean, I've got it queued up. So I tweeted it today. I said, did you see Mike McDaniel interviewed on whatever show? It was Levitard, and he was all over the place. He was like, he wasn't answering. He was kind of like, I don't know. It was really strange.
Really?
I said, yeah. It was a little bit weird. He was talking about Jalen Waddle, and he's already a little bit quirky, which I love. But he was like, I don't know. He wasn't really saying much, and he was like, umming and on. And I said that he was using some of the leftover cocaine from the gays era, Yeah. So there you go.
All right, last one here. Your 101 of fast food French fry.
This is kind of interesting. So there's two really. If you're going straight French fry, I think it's Five Guys Cajun fries.
Nice. Good choice.
Or Arby's curly fries, right? I don't eat much fast food, but those are the two best, aren't they?
Yes,
they're both good. I feel like anytime somebody says there's two, Arby's is one of them.
Yeah.
Like the curly fries are just their own.
They're unique.
They're good. Yeah,
Yep.
they're their own segment, right? Yeah.
Yep. 100%
I'll
agree.
tell you what isn't number one is the damn In-N-Out fries. Those things are fucking garbage. Can I swear on here?
That's West Coast, so I've actually never been to an In-N-Out place before.
Yeah, same.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like fantastic. So the whole idea of In-N-Out is it's all like it's like natural. Like they just take potatoes and put them through the press and fry their asses, So they're not good because who wants them, But like their hamburgers are pretty good because it's it's the same type of concept. The lettuce and tomatoes are all fresh and shit, so it's a pretty good burger joint. But the fries, they got to put all sorts of shit on them to make them good. They call it animal style. They put all sorts of like Thousand Island dressing and shit like that, cheese and whatnot, and then all of a sudden they're good. It's like, well, of course they are.
All right, let's get into some football stuff.
Yeah.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, we had a comment here real quick I wanted to just read to you, Jax, from Eric Johnson. He says, Jack was a huge inspiration for me when I started writing. I love the tight end measurables thread he did a couple years ago. Phenomenal. So you got a fan in the chat there.
Thanks, man.
All right, so before we get to the news and notes, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. It's fantasy football with no waivers, no setting lineups, no worrying about injuries. With their best ball leagues, you get to do the fun part, and that's draft. It's like a mock draft you can win money from. Download the Underdog Fantasy app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code GF2 to get a 100% deposit match on up to $100. If you sign up now, you can join one of our Going for Two leagues for as low as $3. All you have to do is download the app, use promo code GF2, and get your deposit match up to $100. So first thing here is just Super Bowl reactions, Jax. Give me your thoughts on Super Bowl, what you thought of it. What did it live up to your expectations? Were you thinking the Rams are going to win the game? Just anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Rams were going to win the game. But, man, what a disappointing game in a lot of ways. I mean, the Rams, I thought they just stuck to the run for so long. I think they ran it like almost 25 times for like less than 50 yards. I mean, I don't know. It just felt like the coaching was terrible. I thought the Cincinnati Bengals were completely unimaginative on offense. The thing that got me, and I think I heard Evan Silva say this on his pod with Adam Levitan, was like, over the course of the playoffs, I think Joe Mixon only touched the ball like 2 or 3 times on third down all playoffs. Yeah. He doesn't play on third down.
That's crazy.
That's so stupid.
And then they have this 3rd and 1. And I remember when P. Ryan got tackled, I was like, oh, shit, I thought Joe Mixon would have had a little bit more pop. And I looked, I'm like, why the fuck do they have P. Ryan in there?
Exactly what I said.
Honestly, like, what are you saving him for? Like, Mixon is so much better. I mean, this isn't arguable. It's not like we're wondering, they're close enough. No, they're not close. This is not what the hell are you doing? Like, I was so upset for those players at that moment because – and it's not like I hate P. Ryan or whatever. It's just Mixon is that guy that has that explosion. I mean, I think there's a pretty good chance Mixon explodes through that tackle. If not, I mean, you just got to give him a chance to do it. He's your guy. So player. I just, I hated so much of what they were doing, and took the Rams like all game to go to a hurry up, spread them out, and what did they do? They went right down the field and scored a touchdown. I mean, that was a little bit desperation, and they had to go for it on 4th, and they did get bailed out with a terrible no false start, then defensive holding call, which I thought was horrendous. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have seen, by the way, if they'd have called that right, it would have set up probably a 4th down decision, down 4, all 3 timeouts left with just under 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, it
Do
would
you
have been
kick the
interesting.
field goal or do you go for it? I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, you get down one, all of you have to do is stop them and then get one more field goal to win it, or do you try and punch it in, and if you don't, you have to stop them and get a touchdown. Very, very interesting play call. I was waiting for that fourth down decision to come up, so we got robbed of that too.
Yeah, it was a bad that whole parent thing. As soon as I saw that parent and he didn't get the first down, I said in one of my group chats, they just lost the game. I was like, It comes down to 4th and 1. You knew Darnold was going to be in there. It's like, why would they run parent in that situation? What about you, Ryan? What were your thoughts in the Super Bowl?
Dude, first thing is, how much of an impact was OBJ this season, where he left when he got hurt? That offense
Shut down
until they realized, let's force feed Cooper Kupp. Like, that shows how good of a player he still is when this Super Bowl winning team just goes down on offense because of that.
It may also be just how bad Skoranek is too.
Oh, dude, Skoranek, man,
he's awful. And they had Woods at the beginning of the season, or in the past, last seasons, and then they had OBJ almost immediately. Well, it was immediately, right? I think he might have been like slow starter, but it was immediately after that. And so they've had either of them, and without one of them, and then also no Higbee. And the other tight end, I can't remember his name, not Bryson Hopkins, but the other tight end, whatever his name was, the kid, he got hurt too. So it was like they were down to their third string tight end. Granted, it's Bryson Hopkins. I guess he played pretty good, but Skoranek, Hopkins, and all this nonsense, and then Kupp. So yeah, they were down to it, man. And then Van Jefferson, his wife is having a baby. I'm sure his mind was all
not
fucked
there.
up.
All
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, like they got lucky with it because that defense is out of its mind. That pass rush is just out of their mind. It shows how important the pass rush is.
Yep.
Just like last year when Tampa showed it. Like, we're seeing what works in the NFL multiple years in a row.
Yep. Agreed. Well, speaking of OBJ, Ryan, what are your thoughts on this torn ACL? Free agent, going into free agency now, torn ACL. Does he go back to the Rams on a cheaper deal? Does he find somewhere else to go?
I bet that ACL just keeps OBJ's price range right into what the Rams can afford. Like, I think it keeps him in LA, where if he didn't tear it, was healthy, he was on track to have a huge Super Bowl. He might have got a lot more money somewhere else, but this might keep him there.
Yeah, Jared in the chat says Betty won't wear cleats with like a bunch of diamonds in them ever again.
$200,000 cleats.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. What are your thoughts on OBJ in free agency, Jax?
Well, I'll give you the dynasty take. I mean, I think it really hurts his value because, I had started creeping him up, and if you, a minute ago, if you were like, hey, Tyler Lockett or OBJ, it's a conversation. Michael Thomas or OBJ, it's a conversation. Like he was in there, top 30 wide receiver in dynasty, just because, hey, if he's going to play this well, we've seen what OBJ is at his peak, and now I don't know how far down I want to move him. It's going to be way, way down. So I think his value takes a huge hit because who knows when he's back. And on top of it all, some of these wide receivers coming off the
Did we lose him?
I think he froze up.
Yeah, I think we lost him. All right, well, we'll keep moving on. Hopefully he can get his Skype thing fixed there, and we'll keep moving on here. Ryan, I want to ask you about Carson Wentz, likely to be traded or possibly released. Is there anywhere that he could go where he would gain any value, you think? Because I think he's been pretty much shit on by the media here.
I mean, I don't know where he's going to go, which is a better situation. He needs that good offensive line. There's not many teams with a better line than he has there. I don't think he's going to have a trade market. I don't know, man. I think they end up cutting him. They're seeing if they can get somebody in the draft and cutting him after. If not, I think he stays. I don't fully believe. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. Cutting him would be kind of crazy. I think they do likely want to trade him if possible. I have heard rumors that the team that I'm here, the Washington Commanders now, they've talked about potentially getting Carson Wentz. They've actually had this whole thing on the radio. Carson Wentz or Jimmy G, which one do you want? And it was like neck and neck. It was like 50% on both sides of it.
It should be neither. Just draft somebody. And this class isn't even that great.
Yeah.
But
And that was their argument, really, was that their class isn't very great. They have the 11th pick. They can get a quarterback there potentially, but you got Ron Rivera, who hasn't done a whole lot in his first couple of years. If he gets another rookie quarterback in there and they don't win, he's probably out after this year. Carson Wentz could come in and potentially at least keep them afloat for one more year.
At this point, I'd just rather have Heineke and spend the money. And maybe tank for next year and get Bryce Young. But, I don't know. I don't think signing an average quarterback or below average quarterback's worth it.
Yeah. Jax, so we're talking about Carson Wentz. Just the fact that he could be released or traded. Is there anywhere dynasty value that helps him if he goes to a different team somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is there anywhere he can go? Probably, but I was looking. I saw this on the show sheet, and I started thinking about was Carson Wentz bad this year?
No.
And
other than that last game, I don't think he was.
Felt like it.
Yeah,
it sure felt like it. That sure felt like it. I agree, right? So it sure felt like it. So then I started to dig a little deeper in the numbers, and he wasn't bad. He first of all, he had the fewest pass attempts out of any quarterback who played 16 or 17 games. He played 17, and it was quite low. He only threw 516 attempts. But in terms of efficiency, he was actually pretty good. I mean, his completion percentage was awful, but his touchdown percentage was good. His interception percentage was third lowest. It was Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, then him. So he didn't make a lot of mistakes. His average yards per attempt was the same as Josh Allen. I sent a tweet out today that was basically comparing Josh Allen and Carson Wentz, their stats this year, throwing the football, and they were identical, which was because I was doing this research. I'm like, why is Josh Allen so close to him every single time? And I was like, holy shit. They basically have the same.
Bills fans yelled at you.
Oh, Bills fans are going crazy. I'm not saying, by the way, I think Josh Allen is one of the top two quarterbacks. I'm all there. And I think Carson Wentz may be toast. I agree with all this. But when I started to look at it, I was like, he won 9 games. Josh Allen won 11. I get it. Josh Allen's way better. But I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. So he didn't exactly have weapons. Who was his best weapon? Pittman? I mean, I know he had Jonathan Taylor, but he didn't exactly have weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Pittman, washed T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, no tight ends, Jack Doyle. So I don't know if he's fully cooked yet. So with the right weapons, I actually am, falling in love again with Wentz, and I feel very badly about it.
I know. I just thought of a spot that would skyrocket him up the boards.
Where's that?
No, Tampa.
Yeah.
Good O-line, Mike Evans.
That's a good call. That's a good call. Yeah.
I mean, Godwin's probably not going to be back, but it could work.
Still a pretty good team there. I think I agree 100%. And again, if they can find a running game, that's what I think he needs, a running game. If they can get a running game, if Fournette comes back, and then
don't disrespect playoff Lenny.
Well, he may not be back next year. That's what I'm saying. He's a free agent. All right, so let's get to this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to talk about some of these rookies that are coming in this year, the 2022 rookies. And what I did, I went and pulled a mock draft from the Draft Network, TDN. Joe Marino posted this back February 9th. And we're going to just kind of take this as gospel with these landing spots. Just assume that all these players end up in the spots that this mock draft has them. And we'll discuss them and where we like the landing spot or not, or if we think they should go somewhere else. And we'll go by position here. So we'll start off here with the quarterbacks, Jax. Malik Willis goes to the Panthers at the 106. In your personal rankings, you have him as your 101 overall in Superflex leagues. Give me your thoughts on this. Panthers having him for 1, and give me your thoughts on the player just in general.
The reason I have him as my 101 in Dynasty is because of the upside. The floor is scary, but the floor is scary on almost every single prospect, maybe outside of Garrett Wilson, but all these guys, and maybe Breese Hall, those are my two sort of safest players, but the quarterbacks are all super scary, right? Matt Corral is tiny. Scary. Kenny Pickett is a one-year wonder old prospect, and these guys are still, all three of those quarterbacks are going to be drafted in the top 15 picks, we assume, and that's going to be pretty interesting. So Malik Willis is a little bit of, a little bit of 1.01 by default rather than I'm super excited about him. But if he does hit, I said this last year about Trey Lance and Justin Fields, that if they hit as if they were as good as Mac Jones, they'd be top 3 or 4, quarterback in dynasty in fantasy football, right? These running quarterbacks with rushing upside, if they can deliver the ball on time and on target, unbelievable upside, right? So that's where Malik Willis falls for me. And if he goes to Carolina, I love that, actually. I mean, if we're just geeking out on landing spots and using our imagination, Christian McCaffrey, little dump offs, and the amount of pressure that they could put on defenses with their wide receiver core and Christian McCaffrey and the speed all over the place, that'd be fun as hell, man. I'm in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the landing spot for one, and then on the player in general?
He's such a, as a player, it's such a weird thing. Like, I think he has the highest ceiling, but I also think he has has lowest floor out of the first round guys.
Fair.
That takes away one of the guys, the top who I think is not a first round guy. But like, he's super boomer bust. But Carolina's a perfect landing spot for him because you have, like he mentioned, McCaffrey in the running game. Hubbard's even an electric backup for that. DJ Moore's a separation guy, and they're going to run routes to get him wide open and give him nice and big throwing lanes. And that's what you want for a young quarterback with some accuracy issues. Not comparing them in any way, but we saw how this year Jalen Hurts meshed with Devonta Smith because he creates so much separation on his routes. DJ Moore's good at doing that, and that's who a receiver or a quarterback with his skill set will kind of go to. So I love that landing spot. And if that offense gets a little better and can get them DJ Moore touchdowns up,
we've been saying that for how long?
But he's been cursed by just shit offenses.
Yeah. Remember this past year when we were saying Sam Darnold is his savior. Whenever those words come out of your mouth, you're messed up. So
he had 1,100 yards this year, and we act like he's terrible.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
If you take his touchdowns from 4 to 7. He's a top 7 player.
Yeah, it's crazy, and our fantasy minds won't allow us to see the sometimes the NFL impact of a player like DJ Moore. If we would just get over the fantasy points of it and see what he's doing. He's had some of the worst quarterbacks there, and he's been still producing every year. All right, let's move to the next quarterback that was taken at the 109 by the Broncos, Kenny Pickett. He is your 103 in this draft class, Jax. What are your thoughts on Pickett going to the Broncos at 109 and just the player in general?
Yeah, you would love that, wouldn't you? I mean, look, the Broncos are the ready-made team, and whenever we fantasize about, Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or whomever, it's always going to Denver, and then everybody just – whenever you talk about Denver, let me do the thing we're contractually obligated to do. They've got Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Albert O, KJ Hamler. I mean, Javonte Williams, right? So this is the canned answer every single time. But you know what? They do. And that's pretty cool. I played quarterback when I was younger. I'd like to go to Denver. I think that'd be great. The defense is there. I think that's a ready-made opportunity. I don't know about the coach. That's a whole different story. So I think that was probably a little bit of Peter Principle there and a little bit of, standing next to the man gave you the job. But anyway, that's besides the point. We'll see. But yeah, that would be pretty cool. Kenny Pickett's scary. He's, like I said, a late breakout single season of production that's worth anything. We saw that a little bit with Joe Burrow, who came from nowhere a little bit. So it's not impossible, but it's not a profile to chase. Yeah. And so I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah, you got Burrow on one side of that, and then you got Haskins on the other side of that.
Brandon Whedon and Jake. There's just a ton of guys. He gives me a little Brandon Whedon vibes, although I don't know. Who knows? These modern quarterbacks are a little bit different too. Like, you go back even 10, 15 years, these quarterbacks had a much harder go of it. Look at David Carr. David Carr was injured out of the league. Like, they just cracked that dude a million times and he was gone. Who knows? He might have been a good player. I mean, he probably was. Yep. So, a lot of guys just got absolutely smashed out of the league. I mean, Haskins obviously was just
he had a whole other kind of issues.
He's a bum.
Yeah.
He's bad.
Ryan, what are your thoughts on Pickett?
I think Pickett's a safe player. If he goes to Denver, I'm probably going to be more excited for him for fantasy value than I would any other landing spot. But for Denver, I mean, it's more of the same. Like, you're getting guys. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback or a franchise guy. And I don't know if that's the answer. Like, do we want to have a mediocre quarterback and just pray the defense and talent around him gets us there?
Yeah.
Or do you want to take a swing for the fence because you're picking 9th?
Yeah.
Or you can sign a big free agency. That's my worry with him because the defense isn't getting that much younger. Cortland Sutton will be coming near new contract time sooner rather than later. Like, there's some nice pieces, but the time frame, the shelf's not that long, and I don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be the answer there.
So let me
I
ask
agree
you
with that, by the way.
Let me ask you this: If Pickett does go there, are you changing Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton's any rankings? Are they going up? Are they going down? Anything you're doing with those guys?
I mean, I like it for Jeudy more than Sutton. I don't know if Pickett's the force the ball to your jump ball kind of guy.
Fair.
Like, I think he's a very good decision maker, very smart. I think that bodes well for Jeudy, so it's probably up for him, down for Sutton.
Fair.
Yeah. I would guess that wherever the rookie quarterbacks go, you'll want to bump down their weapons, all of their weapons a little bit,
Yeah.
because
Unless it's Washington, who doesn't have a quarterback. Or,
yeah.
you mentioned
I mean,
Carr.
right?
76 sacks his rookie year.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's
suboptimal.
insane.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Washington, the Washington Commanders in this mock take Matt Corral at 111. You have measure 102, Jax. Talk about Matt Corral a little bit in this landing spot.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Corral, he's light, he's small, and he plays with reckless abandon. That is a bad combination in the NFL. So, the health is what scares me. He's a gamer, and, he dominated and was super efficient in the SEC. I've got more film work to do on this kid, but, there's some positives there, but there's some negatives. Just like all these guys, just to put context to it, all three of these guys would have been my quarterback 6 last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're not elite players, but they're going to get drafted up because they're the ones that are available.
Yep.
So, I think they would have gone, late first, second round in last year's draft. And so therefore, I don't know. They all come with their own risk here. And in Washington, by the way, what is Washington's team name going to be next year? It's been every year they've got a new gimmick. I think this is a great way to go. Just change the team name every year. This is cool.
Year.
I like it.
Oh, you'll sell so many jerseys.
Yeah.
You can't get the players to sell jerseys.
They should have gone with Commandos instead of Commanders. I thought that would have been the way to go.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Ryan, what's your thoughts on Mr. Corral?
So, I really like Matt Corral. Like, a lot of what you said, how he's a gamer and stuff. The way you described him gave me like eerie Baker Mayfield flashbacks of how people described him, minus like the off the field and kind of not as reckless. But I like a lot of what Matt Corral does. He can really sling it. He's good. He has good arm strength. His release is lightning. He hits the ball out really quick, so he can kind of survive a questionable line. He's accurate out of the pocket, and I think he'll have no problem kind of force feeding to McLaurin. But I don't mind him there. Like, if they're going for rookie quarterbacks, I like him because he does have that upside to kind of be a big-time player, take some shots, and make that offense a little bit more exciting because God knows it's super boring to watch him.
100% agree on that. All right, let's wrap up the quarterbacks here with the last quarterback we're going to talk about tonight. Sam Howell goes to the Lions at 202 in this mock. You have him at 107, Jax. Give me your thoughts on Sam Howell.
I can't wait to draft Sam Howell all over the place. I will say that much. Like, I don't know that I like Sam Howell a lot more than any of those three guys, but I do like Sam Howell's value a whole lot more. I think he's in the same group as them. I was actually, and we'll see. A lot can change between today and the NFL draft. It could all change. So, but the word from those who are in and around NFL teams and in and around the league are saying that Sam Howell is certainly the fourth quarterback out of these guys. And that's the reason I have them this way. If you ask me, I think they're all very close together and clustered together. Draft capital is what has me ranking them the way, projected draft capital is what has me ranking them the way I have them ranked. Coming into it, I probably would have had Sam Howell as my quarterback 1, or at least vying for it. He outrushed Malik Willis this past year. He's big and thick. He does show the ability to hit the outside throws with velocity. he lost all his weapons: Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Diami Brown, Daz Newsome, and had to win it all on his own with a pretty bad team this year. Game through that. I like Sam Howell a lot. The fact that the NFL doesn't scares me a little, but the fact that I think he's going to fall into the late part of the first round of Dynasty Superflex rookie drafts has me delighted. I'll be happy to take him. And where did you say he went in this mock? Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit.
Sounds good to me. Learn behind Jared Goff if he's still there or whatever. Maybe sort of a red shirt season. I like it a lot. I don't love Detroit as the landing spot, but I'm okay with it if he gets late first round draft capital. The dream spot in the late first round would be Pittsburgh, right?
Pittsburgh.
That would be the spot where it'd be like, oh boy, we really need to think about Sam Howell. So I like him.
All right, Ryan, what about your thoughts on Howell here?
I'm a fan. I like Howell good, but I think he's the safest quarterback in the draft. Like, I think he's a guy who's going to start late for a decade. I don't know if he'll ever be like a top 10 guy. He could be like that Carr range where he's just pretty good.
Like an Andy Dotson type?
Yeah, like live there, start. He can have some huge games. But he's super consistent. He is ice cold veins. Like, he's super poised. You don't see him flinch in the pocket when pressure's coming. He's pretty athletic. Like, he's quick. And how you mentioned, he could run the ball. And it doesn't look like it because he doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but he's booking it a little bit when he's going. He can hit all the throws. Like, he's a solid quarterback, and there's not a lot of downside to him. Like, you get, like you said, late first round.
Yeah.
He's starting. You're getting a starting quarterback. Like, I'm more comfortable with him starting than almost any of the other guys, even though I don't know if his ceiling will be as what the other guys are. He's also John Long, who's fan of the show, is number 1.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, there's a lot of guys who have him as their number 1 analytically coming into this process, but including myself. But I'm not going to put him there now because if you're drafting, you can't draft a guy who's projected to go late first, maybe early second, over a guy who's going to get top 5 draft. I mean, you certainly can, but I would at this particular point, I'm nervous without knowing landing spot, without knowing team commitment. You kind of have to look at projected draft capital a little bit. So that's why I like the question, because for me, I group them all together. And if all that would change, if Sam Howell were to be the first player off the board, I'd gladly take him as the 1.01.
Good call. Yep. All right, let's move down to some of these running backs here. We only had 2 running backs drafted in this mock. We'll talk about a third one just because he's going to be a pretty popular choice in most dynasty drafts. But Isaiah Spiller goes first in this mock draft to the Dolphins at 2.17. You have him at your 1.10, Jax. Give me your thoughts on Spiller.
Well, can I ask Ryan to go first on Spiller for me?
Yep, go ahead, Ryan. Spiller's all yours.
Because he's my top running back, and I absolutely love him. Dude, how good of a fit is he in that offense with what we've seen? If they can bring anything from San Francisco over, he brings that breakneck speed. He has really good speed for his size. He can run between the tackles. He's an elite pass catcher. He has good vision. He's everything you want in that offense. He goes there. He's instant starter, instant upgrade, and it's 3-down work there. I love that spot. I mean, he's my 101 out skill position players. And honestly, I know even in Superflex, we have to take quarterbacks, I would consider him at 101.
Yeah, I've done some Superflex mock drafts, and there's a bunch of people that aren't taking quarterbacks 101. So
and Spiller would be in that conversation for me, especially somewhere like Miami where I know he fits what they're trying to do and could be the man.
Yep. Jack, what you got for Spiller?
So there's a great podcast that I think y'all should go listen to. There's been a great article done by Noah Hill. I like the article. All right, so let me go. I don't want to be too long-winded about this. When I first started my process, I don't watch much college football. I know Ryan does, and he knows more about college football than I do, so I'm not going to get into that type of a discussion. But, the way I look at it, I looked at him, and it looked like he sort of plateaued 3 years in a row. And I had Felix Sharp, where I think we all respect Felix, and he has him as his 1.01 too, because he's a college football guy. And I said, Felix, what happened? Why didn't he get any better? Why didn't he take a step forward? And I was just box score scouting. I mean, I'm not doing much. But then Noah Hill does some work for the Breakout Finder and Player Profiler, put out that he's the most overrated running back in years. And I said, well, geez, what is this? And it comes analytically. So I'm just going to give you this, Ryan. You can chew on this for however you want. Here's the stat. So the idea that what Noah was trying to do is he was trying to say, running backs that were outperformed by their teammates on a per touch basis. Well, that's interesting. I look at that a little bit, and he's saying that this guy was outperformed by his teammates. So here's the stat. So guys drafted since 2007, right? Guys drafted since 2007. This is Noah Hill. God bless you, bro. Guys drafted since 2007. So since 2012, those guys who averaged 10 carries or more in college, okay, 10 carries or more in college, played with guys who were 3-star recruits on average or more, and had less yards per carry than their teammates. You ready for this list? This is the list that Isaiah Spiller finds himself in. Myles Gaskin, Cyrus Gray, Paul Perkins, James White, Benny Snell, Bishop Sankey, Zach Stacy, Cameron Artis-Payne, the aforementioned Samaje Perine, Kristen Michael, Trent Richardson, Monty Ball, Joseph Randall, Quadri Allison, TJ Yeldon, Kadeem Carey, and Trey Mason.
Oof.
Yikes.
It's a brutal list. That is a brutal.
He now adds himself to. I don't know. That's a real list, and I don't like any of those guys. And I kind of like Isaiah Spiller, but I'm starting to think that I might not want to. That's
a really good stat there. That's an awesome pull there for sure. That Ryan's now changing his rankings as we speak.
No.
All right, let's move to Kenneth Walker. He goes at the 2.22 to the Cardinals.
You guys like that? I mean, that list blows my mind. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
My daughter actually poked in and said, "Can I have dessert?" I'm like, "You can do whatever you want. I'm on the air. You can do whatever you want." But I mean, really, it's like there's just a lot of great work. So if you want to hear Noah Hill's full, it's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes on Isaiah Spiller. I recommend y'all do this. It's Big Dog's Gotta Eat. He did a little 20-minute podcast on Big Dog Gotta Eat podcast feed. Go check it out. I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. Noah's not trying to hate on him too, because he talks about his early production profile, his size, all the things that make him a really good back. Come from the SEC, was highly touted out of high school, all the positive things, tremendous pass catcher, all the rest of it. But that list and the research that he did, I thought was very troubling. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Kenneth Walker.
Brian,
I'm curious. I was like, can you send me that list?
Yes, I will absolutely 100%.
I'm curious, like, with the schools that these players all went to, and like the way that we see A&M recruit now, up with like Bama and Ohio State, where they kind of sent some of those normal analytic teams like that in a little bit of tailspin, like even with like dominated for receivers, stuff like that.
Fair.
You got to listen to the pod too, because he
absolutely will.
Well, because one of the things that he did is he wrote the article, and then he tweeted it out, and then he'd get a lot of mentions, and he talked about when he got a lot of pushback like you just gave him, which was one of the bits of pushback. He went back in and sort of tried to either verify that or debunk it, and had more feedback for a lot of the questions that he had, which I also thought was really cool. Like, he wasn't like, indignant about it. He's like, and then I looked, and this is what I found. And he kept answering his own sort of questions that people were asking him, like, well, what about this? So it's a really good pod because he does answer those types of questions pretty thoroughly. I thought he did an outstanding job on the pod, well worth the listen, and it will make you think. I'm not saying it disqualifies him, but it makes him scary as hell.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
I said, like, the guy who came in behind him, because I just looked up the guy, was the number 4 running back in the country when he came out.
So is he better than him?
But like, just their
that's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
Was Lendale White better than Reggie Bush? There's some guys on the list. TJ Yeldon, he played in the Bama backfield, I think, with Derrick Henry. It turns out Derrick Henry is in fact better than TJ Yeldon.
Well, yeah.
So
I was surprised Najee Harris was or Damian Harris wasn't on that list, honestly. But like, he's a completely like different type of player that Achane, who's like 5'9", 185 and a change of pace, big speed guy. So his yards per carry will be high. Like, in general, like, I'm not like fighting this.
By the way, he he talked about that. He actually defined all 5 types of different runs: power, a dive, outside zone, inside zone, stretch, and one other type of run. And he identifies all 5. How A-Chain also was more effective, on dive and inside zone than Spiller against the same boxes. It was pretty incredible. He did great work. You got to listen to it. It will make you start to question everything about Isaiah Spiller, is all I'm saying.
Good stuff. All right, that's some great content right there, guys. I appreciate that. Let's talk about Kenneth Walker to the Cardinals at 2.22. You have him at 109, Jax. What's your thoughts on Walker?
Yeah, so Kenneth Walker, is that guy that looks real electric, and of course when Ryan and I did the pod together, I had him on my pod. I asked Ryan, is he anywhere close to Nick Chubb? Is he even sniffing Chubb? And that's where the title came from, Sniff Chubb. And I wonder because he doesn't have a prolific receiving background in college, so therefore he's a little bit Damian Harris, Nick Chubb, and I wonder where he is on that sort of spectrum. Or can he be a pass catcher and a third down player in the NFL? I mean, shoot, Joe Mixon somehow is not getting third down work in the NFL, as we talked about earlier. And this guy was
pass catcher.
Prolific pass catcher at the college level. So, it's not always that easy to get, pass down work in the NFL. And if Kenneth Walker hasn't done that, that's my concern. But in Arizona, if Kyler Murray can stay there and he can play the James Conner role, fucking wheels up, baby. Let's go, 100%. Kenneth Walker.
Ryan, what's your thoughts on Walker?
Yeah, that Arizona landing spot's absurd. He has great long speed, great vision. Arizona, he's never going to see stacked boxes. And you have that fear of Kyler Murray running it all the time. He's going to see huge windows there.
Yes.
And he has great contact balance. He runs inside, outside. He'd be perfect there.
Yeah.
Even if his pass catching isn't that great, the way Arizona's offense works, he's going to get red zone looks. And they do a lot of screen passes to their wide receivers anyway. So I don't know how much he'd actually get. But with just his rushing ability, he would be able to produce there. That's ideal.
Yeah.
That's a dream fit for you. That would put. I said about Spiller there, and this is not including that conversation. I didn't notice the Arizona landing spot. This is the perfect spot. That's 101. That's 101 right there.
Walker would move up your list. I was going to ask you.
You can't have a better landing spot for him.
Yeah,
he's just such a good
spot.
fit. It's a dream match.
Fair. All right, we'll talk about one more running back that did not get drafted in this mock. Obviously, it's Breese Hall, who we know is going to be pretty popular in dynasty drafts. I'm going to go to you first, Ryan, on Breese Hall, because I know we had a little bit of a talk here in the chat pre-show.
Yeah, we did.
So give me your thoughts on Breese Hall here.
I think Breese Hall's fine. I think he's a 2-down back. I think he's gonna be a bit of a grinder in the league. He does a lot while he's really good vision. He bounces off tackles. He can push the pile. I just don't know if he's a 3-down guy, but I could see him getting close to 200, 220 carries for a team. But he's not super electric. It's not a ton of upside. He could live in running back 2 territory for 5 years. And I wouldn't doubt it, but I don't know if he'd get higher than it. His upside's capped for me. It would have to be a perfect landing spot. I don't even know what that would be where he'd fit.
Yeah. And Jax, what about you? You had Breese Hall in your top 25. I forget. I didn't write it on the show sheet where you have him, but I remember it being pretty far up there. Yeah. I think 104, I believe. Yeah,
he's easily my running back 1, and I don't see what Ryan sees, quite honestly. One of the things that Ryan did say in the chat was that, and I'm not a college football guy, so I'd really just seen highlights of Breese Hall. So I did a little bit of game film analysis where I just did, individual games to make sure that I was catching, the intermediate plays, and I don't see it. I mean, I'm going to have to watch everybody else to put some context to it, but I thought Breese Hall is kind of awesome. He looks very explosive and decisive in the hole. I thought he was doing a great job of picking up extra, and then he does separate. He finishes runs down the field. He did have, 5.6 and 5.8 yards per carry this last year, 21 and 20 touchdowns on the ground. He also caught 23, 23, and 36 passes. So I think he can be an every down back. He did appear to pick up blitzes well. I don't think that he's like elite. I think I had mentioned in a recent pod. I did a pod where analytically I put him. There's the Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, LaDainian Tomlinson sort of elite, crazy, awesome tier, and then there's like guys like step down from there, which is like Zeke, Gurley, Dobbins, Swift, this type of tier that I think is like really, really great. And then somewhere down there was that maybe one or two steps down was the Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, tier. And I think he's probably somewhere in between those two. I think he's a step up from Josh Jacobs and David Montgomery as a prospect for me, but not quite a Nick Chubb. And now you got to remember, Nick Chubb was a little bit like he had injury. If Nick Chubb would have stayed healthy, but somewhere in there, he's somewhere in there. So I'm not trying to put him way above as a prospect, but he's, to me, in this awful class, I think he's clearly my running back one. But here's another problem. The NFL doesn't see him as the clear number one running back, which now makes me skeptical. So Dynasty Game Theory 101, trade out, trade back, get the hell out of here. If you can sell the 101 or the 105 for a 23 first plus, just do that. So definitely want to push your chip into next year if you can. I know that's hard to do sometimes, both because it's hard to get someone to pay that, but also hard to not make a pick and just do it next year. I get that, but it's going to serve you well. You'd rather have 2 picks next year than 1 this year, 1 next year.
Yeah, in the chat, so unfortunately Facebook doesn't allow us to have the names there, so it just says Facebook user, but somebody pointed out that the 2023 expected class already has projected 7 RB1s. I don't know how true that is, but it's definitely a better class than we have this year, I believe, at least from what I've heard. All right, are you tired of vague and misleading injury reports costing you games? Well, Going for Two's own injury analyst, Dr. James Ferretti, wants to help. With his book, Injuries Suck, But Your Fantasy Team Doesn't Have to, the doc will show you a clear approach to player injuries, media reports, and coach speak, as well as how to anticipate and act quickly when injuries strike. Available for purchase on Amazon, or you can use his link on his Twitter profile at TFSDoc. Stop guessing, start winning. All right, let's get to some of these receivers here. We'll kick off here at the top with the first one that was drafted, and this was after the injury, so it was interesting for me to see this guy go first in the NFL mock draft here, but Jamison Williams goes to the Browns at 113, and I'm going to go to you first, Ryan. Give me your thoughts here. 1 with the injury, and then 2 him going to the Browns.
I love Jamison Williams. Pre-injury, he was my wide receiver 1. Post-injury, I don't know. I just have an asterisk by his name.
Now, when you say post-injury, did you mean Baker Mayfield or his knee?
Oh,
because getting drafted on Baker Mayfield seems like getting injured.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. That's true. But so that's weird because if he gets drafted in that position with Cleveland, that means he has the draft capital. That means his medical's checked out, and a team was comfortable taking that chance on him.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel really comfortable. I'm not as worried about Baker Mayfield as I think most people are right now, because there's a good chance Baker Mayfield's there 1 more year and there's something new.
There.
We get shiny new, and if you come to Jameson Williams, Jarvis Landry, those running backs, it's not a bad situation. And that could be a whole new regime from coaching staff through quarterback, and that could change and get good in a heartbeat. I'm going to bet on talent more than the landing spot. Like, if I know he goes high and he's healthy, going to pass medicals, even if he misses his first 8 games of the season, I don't give a shit. It's Dynasty. We're not playing quickly, and I don't really want to start rookies if I'm a good team anyways, and a bad team. It's fine. But, if he goes there, it's a good sign to me.
I like it. I like your analysis on how the team, the medicals checked out. If he goes this high in the NFL draft, then teams aren't scared of that injury. So.
If he goes first round, I feel really good about him. If we start creeping down to that 3rd range, I'm getting nervous.
Fair.
Yeah, I think everything you said was spot on, Ryan. I mean, really, really spot on analysis. Because, the landing spot sucks, and of course, it's always fun to dunk on Baker Mayfield. I'm sure you agree with that as a Ravens fan.
Yeah, super fun.
But I agree with you. Baker is either going to play better or be replaced. So, great.
Yep.
There's a chance he was really that hurt this year, early on.
It's also a chance that he was really hurt and is also awful.
There's that.
There's that.
I mean, everything's in the realm of possibilities, but it's not all downside.
No, I agree.
We've also seen bad quarterbacks produce good receivers.
Yeah.
Like, let's not overreact.
Jared Goff had 3 wide receiver ones basically for a while in LA.
Dude, every year.
I think the questions about Jamison Williams stem from late breakout, transfer, stuff like that, size, whatever. There's some small red flags. I don't think they're huge. I mean, he was clearly dominant, in his season at Alabama. So I don't know. We'll see. His profile's a little scary just because he couldn't, elevate past any of the dope wide receivers at Ohio State. I mean, they're obviously really great. So it's not a terrible sign, but it's not a great sign either, right?
Yeah, fair point. All right, we're getting close to the clock here, and I want to hit some of these guys as possible. So we're just going to go quick fire, and I'm just going to give each of y'all one receiver to talk about, and we'll just go back and forth. We'll start with Treylon Burks going to the Saints at 118 in this mock draft. Ryan, you get Treylon Burks. Talk about him.
Lucky.
Dude, switch me. I'd much rather talk about Garrett Wilson.
Treylon is dope. Treylon is the one guy in this class who has the absolute top of the mountain alpha upside. I don't know what's going to happen in New Orleans, but somehow or another, that just feels really good to me. I know there's no quarterback, but just give me Jameis Winston and Treylon Burks, please God. Let that be the case, not Taysom Hill. But yeah, if you tell me that Jameis is going to sign a 2-year deal there and Treylon is there, oh my God, wheels up. And I'm super excited. So yeah, Treylon Burks is that super high upside player who seems to be a physical freak, and I'm really excited about Treylon Burks. I had Felix Sharp DM me after a show I did where I was asking questions about Treylon, like, is he, should I be worried? Is he close to N'Keal Harry? And Felix Sharp said, DM me, goes, look, if we can't count on Treylon in this draft, we can count on nothing. So
fair. All right. All right, Ryan, you get Garrett Wilson. He goes to the Titans at 1.26 in this mock draft. Give me your thoughts on Wilson in this landing spot.
That's a great landing spot for him. I love Garrett Wilson. He's so explosive. His hands are awesome. But his backyards are just ridiculous. And guess what? When you have a yak wide receiver, Ryan Tannehill doesn't have to be slinging the ball. You just have to get it to him in space.
Yep.
And he'll thrive. He'll see 0 double coverage there because of A.J. Brown. And it's a really good fit. That makes that a really explosive offense. And if there's that off chance that another quarterback goes there,
Aaron Rodgers,
one of the free agents, I didn't want to say his name just because I feel like he dominates every single show no matter what. He's always brought up. But if Aaron Rodgers goes there, holy shit, that's awesome. It's a great spot because he'll immediately be the wide receiver too. I have when I look at my receivers, I like to listen to a wide receiver 1 or a 1B. He's a 1B with A.J. Brown.
Yeah. And
not a true 2. And that's going to give you a lot of fantasy value because he has that big play potential. So I think it's great for him.
Yeah, love it.
I love Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
love Garrett Wilson.
I'm like you, Jax. I don't watch college football really. I just basically do my research after the fact. And he was the one that when I first watched him jumped out at me. And I even texted Brian why isn't he the wide receiver 1 in this class? Because he was electric.
He's my wide receiver. Well, now Jameson Williams is hurt. He's my wide receiver 1.
Fair.
Yeah, I think Garrett Wilson. I after our show, Ryan, I put him at wide receiver 1 because you talked me into him, and I'm in. I think Garrett Wilson has the highest floor. There's very little. I don't love the Tennessee landing spot, but I don't hate it either. But there's just very few places he can go where you're gonna be like, I'm not sure. I'm very sure that he's gonna be solid at worst. You know what I mean? He's gonna be solid at the very worst.
Yeah, Kyle in the chat says, does my wife make me mention Aaron Rodgers on every episode? Because she's a Packers fan, in case you didn't know. So I'm obligated to mention it at least once.
That's why I have Garrett Wilson over Burks, is just because his floor is so high. And I think he has a good enough upside. I think Treylon Burks has the top upside in the class. But his floor is still a little bit scarier to me.
All right. I agree. Let's move to Chris Olave going to the Dolphins in this mock at 1.29. And this one is yours, Jax.
So Chris Olave has been, it's funny, man. I was Olave fan last year thought he should have come out, and because he didn't come out and returned and wasn't the alpha, I started to sour on him. But I've been coming back around, and so where does he land in this? Miami? I don't, Waddle and Olave, I guess that's okay. I mean, Tua is a question mark. I'm not exactly too sure. Like, the offensive line needs to get fixed in Miami for anything to happen. I don't care who's the quarterback. It can be me, you, or whoever. The offensive line needs to get taken care of. So, until that happens, I don't want any skill positions out of Miami until the offensive line is fixed, because we really won't know whether Tua is good or not. He's getting the David Carr treatment right now.
Yep.
He's got no time to throw, which is why everything's short. We know Waddle can stretch the field. I learned last week that Olave had I had Travis May in the pod. I thought Olave was more of a sort of a close to the line of scrimmage slot guy. He said he has a lot of downfield targets, and he is a downfield field stretcher. So, again, if they can fix that offensive line and you had Waddle and Olave, I'm starting to warm up to Olave a lot and moving him up my ranks.
All right, good stuff. All right, we'll round out these first-round receivers in this mock with Johan Dotson going to the Lions with the last pick at 1.32. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Dotson?
I freaking love Jahan Dotson. Yeah. There's nothing I don't like about his skill set. He has the most arrogant hands I've ever seen. He makes catches that should be illegal, and he's played with terrible QB play his whole career at Penn State. He's made them look great. He has crazy ups and plays so big for guys who's 5'11". He has good yak yardage. He has good short quickness. He's a really talented guy. He'll work really well in that offense. You can have Amon around in the slot, and even though Dotson's small, he has such a good release. He can play the outside and move around, and kind of like we saw at the Rams, where they have receivers who are interchangeable, who they do a lot of the same things well. They can move all those guys around there and kind of build it like that. And then Goff, as much as we shit on him, he's still an accurate enough quarterback who can produce things. You mentioned before, he had 2 wide receiver ones in a year?
Yeah,
or 3, something like that?
He had Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, and Kupp were all on a points per game. I think it's the year Kupp got hurt. So on a points per game basis, they were all receiver ones that year.
He's not going to do that there because this offense is insane, but he could definitely have 2 guys produce with St. Brown and Dotson, or a year from now, because they're still going to be
Sam Howell. Sam Howell's there in this example too.
Plus, Sam Howell's there. Sam Howell's there. I freaking love it.
Yeah, there you go.
The rookies growing together.
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, that's all we got time for as far as the mock goes. But I did want to ask each of y'all to bring one guy that we hadn't mentioned, kind of a sleeper. Is there a guy that you kind of like that no one's talking about, or someone that's probably going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round in dynasty drafts? I'll go to you first, Ryan. You have one name for me?
I'm going to go with James Cook from Georgia. I think running back from Georgia, he's a super interesting player because he's been kind of buried in that Georgia offense behind all these good running backs, and it seems like they didn't always know how to use him. I think he's kind of that next generation player who's a little bit moves in between wide receiver and running back, mainly running back, but he was lined up on the outside. He was lined up in the slot. They used him in a lot of end arounds and sweeps. They lined him up in the backfield. He had huge yards per carry. He had made big plays. He makes guys miss the open field. He can run between the tackles. He has a lot of talent and just wasn't used well. I think he's a perfect player, as an RB2 with the team, who you can kind of mix and match and give you enough touches between pass catching and running to be a fantasy viable player to flirt with that RB2 area.
Like a Margie P. Ryan? I'm just kidding.
No, I think I could see him used in that Cordell Patterson role, but with talent.
Fair. Okay. Jax, you got one name for us?
Absolutely. This is the easiest one. Last year for me, it was Elijah Mitchell. I just kept shouting about Elijah Mitchell.
Me too.
I was the OG. Literally Ray Garvin, I found out, beat me to the punch, but I did early stuff, and I unearthed Elijah Mitchell before I heard about Elijah Mitchell, and then we started to hear about him. But yeah, love Elijah Mitchell. This year it's Rashad White. White, let me just tell you, he's a JUCO transfer. I'm curious to see, just how he measures at the combine in terms of, his quickness, his speed, etc. But here's what Rashad White did as soon as he transferred to Arizona State. Arizona State last year in 2020, COVID shortened. He only played 4 games. In those 4 games, this is real numbers. In 4 games, he had 420 yards, 10 yards of rush. He had 8 catches at basically 20 yards a catch.
Wow.
This past year, he caught 43 balls out of the backfield for 456 yards receiving. He in his 2-year stint in just 15 games, he has over 2,000 all-purpose yards with over 7.5 yards a touch. This guy's electric. He's got 51 catches in those 15 games. Sign me up. He's an absolute home run swing. Give me Rashad White. I'm looking at him at every start of every second round in every dynasty rookie draft I do.
He's an early second for me, easy.
Nice. I'm gonna have to go look him up.
He's my RB4 right now, and I would consider drafting him over Isaiah Spiller.
Ooh, spicy. I love it. All right, let's get to our last segment of the night.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Jax, give us your Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
Well, I was thinking about this one today, man. You got me really thinking. I love this segment. I figured I'd throw one to the Cincinnati Bengals. My poor Cincinnati Bengals who did not win the Super Bowl. I'm a Patriots fan. I thought they were going to win it like we won against the Rams the very first year Brady won it, with a little late comeback there by Burrow. He had it there. Not to be. They didn't have Bill Belichick. They didn't have Tom Brady. They had, not them.
but not Bayou Brady?
Not Bayou Brady. Exactly. Oh, shit. That'd have been the way to go. I mean, he was there. He had all the drip, but he just didn't have the final way to put it home. So going back, we all remember Corey Dillon. Corey Dillon was this amazing running back, but Corey Dillon left Cincinnati and left behind a guy who went 3 straight seasons over 1,300 yards rushing, 3 straight seasons of 12 rushing touchdowns. That guy was Rudy Johnson.
I love Rudy.
Remember
Johnson.
Rudy Johnson?
It wasn't like 230 pounds.
Yeah,
absolute
huge.
stiff, but just delivered. 3 straight seasons, and then was off the map again. He was just not a good. He just wasn't. How he did this is unbelievable. And that was in the T.J. Houshmandzadeh years.
Yep.
So T.J. Houshmandzadeh, Rudy Johnson, Cincinnati Bengals, early 2000s, winning championships. Houshmandzadeh.
I love
Lock
that.
it up.
I actually knew who you were talking about immediately when you said that Corey Dillon left, because that was the year I played video games a lot back then, but the NFL 2K game, and I used the Bengals because they had Chad Johnson, they had Houshmandzadeh, they had Rudy Johnson in the backfield. They were the best team on that game. I used them all the time, and he was an amazing back for those couple of years that he was there. Good pull. Good pull. All right, that wraps the podcast up. We'll go around the room really quick, guys. Give us your Twitter handle where we can follow you at, and if you wanted to plug anything, we'll go to you first, Jax.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Dino Game Theory. You can find me at the undroppables.com. Search anywhere you listen to podcasts, just search The Undroppables. The Undroppables, all of our shows will show up. We've got a lot of new stuff coming up. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up. And all of our other pods are searchable when you find that. So if you like my pod, maybe you like some of the others, Undroppables Playbook with the producer of my show, Michael P. Duncan, and Ashley. It's a great little show, half hour, usually, sometimes a little bit more. They have a lot of fun with that show and all sorts of cool stuff. So, yeah, just go to theundroppables.com. We've got dynasty rankings, etc. That's what we're doing, man. So check it out.
Good stuff. Ryan, what you got?
Find me here every Wednesday night. Find me over at the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible. Our Dynasty Draft Room episodes come out Wednesday morning. One of these days, I'm going to record these War Room episodes with their rookie profiles. I'm just trying to not psych myself out again solo since you're ditching me. And I'm also putting out rookie profiles here at Going for Two as well. Trying that writing thing again.
Yeah, trying that writing thing again. Yeah, you got a bunch done already, so that's good stuff. We got some good content coming out here.
Well, Jeff and I learned you have plenty of time too.
Yeah.
Unlike us, right, Jeff?
Exactly. Yeah, we have kids.
I got video games and dogs.
I do like video games, but I don't get to play those very often.
All right, guys, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Lambert77. I wanted to plug one more time that we have our we call them PLPs, personal league podcasts that we do. They're normally $100. We're doing it right now on sale for this month. We can get them for $78. Basically, 4 going for 2 people will get on a podcast. They will break down your entire league team by team, rank them from worst to first, give you some thoughts on who to draft or who to trade, just anything at all that we think we should do to improve your team. They're a lot of fun. We've already done, I think, we've already actually sold a couple of them. I think 6 or 7 are on the docket already, so please get in there and do that. Just visit goingfor2.com/league pod to sign up for that. And right now you can get it for $22 off the regular price. All right, guys. For Jax, for Ryan, I'm Jeff. We will see y'all next week.